previous lecture. From last lecture, we start topic number 5 of economics, that is forms of market or types of market. Up to this lecture, we completed introductory part of the topic, definition of market, and then we start classification of market. Classification of market on the basis of place and time. We covered classification of market on the basis of place, on the basis of time, and then you start classification of market on the basis of competition. Then we discussed perfect competition, meaning and definition of perfect competition. So without delay, start next part of the perfect competition, that is features of perfect competition. Before starting features, I want to tell you these features of perfect competition is important for our HSC examination, because many times question is asked for long time, for long answer question. Explain features of perfect competition. Okay, so listen carefully, and if you have any doubt, then please ask only in chat box. Okay. Features of perfect competition. First of all, what is meant by perfect competition, I just revised here. Perfect competition is a form of market in which there are large number of buyers and sellers. There are large number of buyers and sellers of a commodity. There are large number of buyers and sellers of a commodity of homogeneous product is sold, and its price is determined, by the market forces of supply and demand. Its price is determined with the help of market forces of demand and supply. An individual buyer or a seller has no control over price. Listen carefully this definition, because all features of perfect competition included in this definition. All features of perfect competition covered under this definition. So the first feature, that is large number of sellers and buyers. Large number of sellers and buyers. Under perfect competition, there are large number of buyers and sellers. They are selling homogeneous goods or homogeneous product. The individual buyer or individual seller is negligible. The individual buyer and individual seller is negligible part in the total market, because so influence of all these things, that is a single buyer or a single seller is negligible, or his contribution is also negligible. So a single buyer or single seller cannot influence total market price, price and supply in the market. The sellers are price taker under perfect competition. Why sellers are price taker under perfect competition? Because as we discussed in last lecture, or one of the definition of perfect competition, that is the demand under perfect competition for the product is perfectly elastic. Perfectly elastic means a negligible change, or the change which is not measurable in the price of the commodity. negligible change or the change in the price is not measurable, there is infinite change in the quantity demanded. There is infinite change in the quantity demanded. That's why it is a perfectly elastic demand. So we discussed in last lecture also the demand curve which slopes horizontal to the x-axis. Horizontal to the x-axis. So the seller can sell their commodities, that is homogeneous commodities, at available prevailing prices in the market. Available prevailing prices in the market. So seller are price taker and not price maker under perfect competition. Seller are price taker and not price maker under perfect competition. Okay, large number of buyers and large number of sellers. Next point, large number of buyers. Accordingly, like an individual firm, an individual buyer is also not able to influence the price of the commodity. Why? Because there are large number of buyers and large number of sellers. So the influence effect of single buyer cannot influence the total market supply, total market price, total market price, total market price. An individual buyer is also not able to influence price of the commodity. Any increase or decrease in individual demand will hardly make any difference to the total market demand. That is mean any increase or decrease in the demand of individual brings a negligible change or hardly make any difference to the total market demand. That's why buyer is also price taker under perfect competition. Listen carefully this statement, that is buyer and seller are price taker and not price maker under perfect competition, because the demand for product is perfectly elastic. Demand for product is perfectly elastic. Each and every seller and each and every buyer buy and sell commodities, that is homogeneous commodities, okay, with the available prevailing prevailing prices in the market. Available prevailing prices in the market. The number of buyers are also large. Number of buyers are also large. The share of each buyer is also negligible, as I already told you, because a single buyer cannot influence total market supply, total market demand, total market price, because there are large number of buyers and large number of sellers. Both are price taker and not price maker. And as I already told you in last lecture, the perfect competition is imaginary concept which is not exist in reality, Next feature, that is homogeneous product. What is meant by homogeneous? Homogeneous means the product which is produced by producer under perfect competition is identical. All characteristics, all attributes, all features of that particular product in respect of size, weight, shape, taste, color is same. That is, size of the product is same, weight same, taste same, color same. There is no differentiation. There is no differentiation between the products. It is each and every commodity produced by all sellers in the market or produced by all producers in the market in the perfect competition. It's same in all aspects. It's same in all aspects. And all the product are perfect substitute to each other. All product are perfect substitute to each other. For example, if in a perfect competition, if in a perfect competition, the producer is producing toothpaste, so the toothpaste produced by all producer, toothpaste produced by all producer, it's same size, same color, same weight, same taste, same all features of that toothpaste produced by all producer in the market, that is in perfect competition, it's same in all characteristics, in all attributes. Okay, and toothpaste produced by producer A and toothpaste produced by producer B is same. That's why all the products are perfect substitute to each other. All the products are perfect substitute to each other. That is homogeneous product. Homogeneous product. Next, free entry and exit. For the firm, for the producer, for the seller in the market, there are no barriers to entry. Barriers to entry means there is no any prohibition, there is no any limitation, there is no any restrictions under perfect competition to start business and to end business. To start business and to end business, or to entry and exit of the firm, there is no barrier for entry and exit of the firm, of the producer, of the seller in the market. That is free entry and exit. Any firm, any producer can enter or quit the industry as its own will. Okay, if there is hope for the profit, if the producer expect that there may be a profitable situation in future, then they can enter into market, and if they find that there is lossful situation in future, they can shut down their business. So there is free entry and exit in the perfect competition. There is free entry and exit in the perfect competition. Next feature, that is single price. There is single price for the product which is produced by all producers or sellers in perfect competition. In perfect competition, which is determined by interaction of demand and supply. Which interaction of demand and supply? Which interaction of demand and supply? That is the interaction of demand and supply. Here, the point E. That is there is demand and supply meets each other. Demand curve and supply curve meets each other. So the prices is determined on the basis of demand supply forces. Prices is determined on the basis of demand supply forces. So there is single uniform price. So there is single uniform price under perfect competition. Okay. Perfect knowledge of market. The buyer and seller possess a perfect knowledge about the market conditions. Every seller and every buyer has knowledge about the full, and they have full awareness about the price prevailing in the market. Buyer well in advance knows for which price or for what price the seller is selling a product or his commodities. So as a consequence, only one price prevails in the market. Only one price prevails in the market. So buyer and seller have perfect knowledge about the market, okay, about the quality of product, about the sources of supply and product, about the price. Perfect knowledge. Perfect means each and everything about the product, how they how the producer produce the product, what is the cost of product, what is the price of product, what is the selling price of the product. All the things are known by both parties in the transaction, that is seller and buyer. That is perfect knowledge of market. Next, perfect mobility of factors of production. Perfect mobility of factors of production. What is meant by mobility? That is, factors of production are movable from one place to another place. All factors of production. What are the factors of production? That is land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. Land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur are the factors of production. So all these factors of production are perfect movable or mobility under perfect competition. Labor and capital are mobile. Labor and capital are mobile, not only geographically but also occupationally. What is meant by not only geographically but also occupationally? Labor is having a restricted mobility because labor having certain problems, that is family problems. So that's why he cannot move from one place to another place. Okay, he can move from Khed to Chiplun. He can move from Khed to Chiplun, but he cannot move from Khed to Australia because occupational and geographically restrictions for the labor, for his movements, for his movement. That is perfect mobility of factors of production. Factors of production are perfectly mobile under perfect competition because factors will move to that industry which pay the highest remuneration. Which pay the highest remuneration. That is, there are, okay, the first feature, that is large number of buyer and seller, homogeneous product, single price, free and entry and exit. But within the firm which produce homogeneous product and selling their product at a single price, those firms who provide the highest remuneration, that is wages for labor, wages for labor, interest for capital, rent for land. So those firms who provide highest remuneration, the factors of production move to that firm, move to that industry under perfect competition. Next, absence of transport cost. Absence of transport cost. In perfect competition, price is uniform, that is single price, because we assume that transport cost does not exist. Why? Because transport cost, due to transport cost, there due to transport, if there is rise in the transport cost, the transport cost is different for different places. The transport cost for different places. The transport cost in Khed, transport cost in Chiplun, transport cost in Mumbai, transport cost in Mumbai, Pune, and metropolitan city is different. So the firms which are engaged under perfect competition in all these places, due to transport cost, there may be a rise in the cost of production. So we assume that there is absence of transport cost. So we assume that there is no extra transport cost. There is no extra transport cost, because if you want to buy a product in Khed, if you want to buy a product in Chiplun, if you want to buy a product in Bengaluru, there is homogeneous product, large number of buyers, large number of sellers, uniform price, and one of the feature that is homogeneous product. So because of homogeneity, the product you buy in Khed, in Chiplun, in Bengaluru, in Pune, in Mumbai, it's same in all characteristics. That is same size, same color, same weight, same taste. So there is absence of transport cost. This assumption will lead to uniformity in the price. This assumption, we assume that there is absence of transport cost. This assumption will lead to uniformity in the price. How many of you understand all these features, that is up to absence of transport cost? If yes, then if you understand, then please say yes. If you don't understand, then please say no. And I think that my voice is audible to all of you. My voice is reaching to you. Okay, good. So the last feature of perfect competition, there is no government intervention. Laissez-faire policy. Laissez-faire policy. Laissez-faire policy means one of the feature of microeconomics. It is assumed in microeconomics that there is no government intervention. There is no government restrictions. So one of the feature of perfect competition, this thing is not possible in practically, because we see presently government make various laws, regulations for trading of goods and services, for making transactions. So it is assumed that there is no government intervention, or in perfect competition, the market, that is perfect competition, is free from government control. The market is free from government control. So it means there is absence of government intervention in economic activities of the firm, in the economic activities of the firm or the business who produce or who are engaged, or the firms which are engaged in perfect competition. Okay, so here all features are over. So the next point, that is price discrimination under perfect competition. Sorry, price determination under perfect competition. Price determination under perfect competition. As we already discussed, the prices in the perfect competition, the prices in the perfect competition is determined on the basis of demand supply forces, on the basis of demand supply forces. So under perfect competition, we get an equilibrium price because all firms are selling their product and buyer buying product in perfect competition at a single uniform price. Then how it is possible? Because the producer, the seller and buyer decide the prices as per demand supply forces, as per demand supply forces. Okay, Alfred Marshall has compared the process of price determination, the process of price determination to cutting the cloth with the pair of scissor, with the pair of scissor. Okay, just as both blades of scissor are required to cut the cloth, both the forces, so for cutting the cloth both the pair of scissor is required. So to determine the prices under perfect competition, both the forces, that is demand forces and supply forces, equally important. Demand forces and supply forces are equally important, and it is essential to determine or to get equilibrium price in the market, to get equilibrium price in the market. Okay, so the next, table number 5.1, demand and supply schedule. Okay, so before explaining this table, I just want to remember you, we already covered what is meant by demand, what is meant by demand schedule, how the individual demand schedule looks like, what is the slope of demand curve, what is the slope of supply curve, what is the slope of supply curve. So the table shows 4 columns. First column, price per kg of apples in rupees, price per kg of apples in rupees. Next, quantity demanded in kg, that is consumer behavior. Quantity supplied in kg, that is supplier behavior, that is supplier behavior. Next, relationship between DD, that is demand curve, and SS, that is supply curve. Okay, so first of all, when the price per kg of apples in rupees is 100 per kg, quantity demanded is kg 5000 kg, 5000 kg. When price rises from 100 to 200 per kg, the quantity demanded becomes less, that is 500,000 kg to 4,000 kg. Continuously, when there is a rise in the price of the commodity for apple per kg from rupees 200 to rupees 300 to rupees 400 to rupees 500, quantity demanded in kg for apple become lesser and lesser, that is 3000 kg, 2000 kg and 1000 kg. This statement or these things or this concept we studied in demand analysis. Okay, so the next, skip only this column and take into consideration only first and third column. When price is 100, the quantity supplied in kg 1000 kg. When again rise in the price from 100 to 200, quantity supplied again rises from 1000 kg to 2000 kg. Continuously, when there is a rise in the price from 300 to 400 to 500 per kg, quantity supplied rises from 3000 to 4000 to 5000 kg. Quantity supplied rises from 3000 to 4000 to 5000 kg. That is the supplier behavior. What is the statement of law of demand? Other things being constant, higher the price of commodity, lower is the quantity demanded, or vice versa. And what is the statement of law of supply? Other things being constant, higher the price of commodity, larger is the quantity supplied. Okay, so then we compare the whole table. Then we compare whole table. Okay, when price is 100, quantity demanded is 5000 kg and quantity supplied is 1000 kg. That is, demand DD is more than SS, that is supply. DD is more than supply. When price rises from 100 to 200 per kg, quantity demanded is at the same time 400 kg and quantity supplied rises from 1000 to 2000 kg. That is, again DD is greater than SS, that is supply. When there is price 300 per kg, quantity demanded 3000 kg, quantity supplied 3000 kg. That is, DD is equal to SS. DD, that is demand, is equal to supply. Demand is equal to supply. When again price rises from 300 to 400 per kg, quantity demanded, that is 2000, quantity supplied 4000, that is supply is excess of demand, or supply is greater than demand, or demand is less than supply. Again, next situation, when price is 500 per kg, quantity demanded 1000 kg, quantity supplied 5000 kg, and again supply is excess than demand. But in this situation where the price is 300, quantity demanded also 300 and quantity supplied also 300, demand is equal to supply. Demand is equal to supply. So this price where demand and supply interact, the demand curve and supply curve interact with each other or intersect with each other, that is the uniform price. That is the uniform price or single price, where buyer and seller is willing to sell and buyer is willing to buy the commodity under perfect competition, that is rupees 300 per kg. 300 per kg. Okay, so how many of you understand this table? Please answer only in chat box. If understand, then please say yes. If don't understand, please say no. Okay, good. So the next graph. This graph, what is meant by individual demand curve, what is meant by individual supply curve, or what is meant by supply curve and what is meant by demand curve. Supply curve means it is a graphical presentation of supply schedule in short, and demand curve means it is graphical presentation of demand schedule. demand schedule. So first we take into consideration only these two, first and second, that is price and quantity demanded, to draw demand curve, to draw demand curve. So on y-axis there is price in rupees per kg. On x-axis quantity demanded and quantity supplied. On x-axis quantity demanded and quantity supplied in kg. Okay. First we see only demand curve. Okay. When price is 100, quantity demanded is 500 kg. That is this point. When price is 200, quantity demanded is 4000. That is this point. When price is 300, quantity demanded is 3000. That is this point, E. When price is 200, quantity demanded is okay. When price is 100, quantity demanded. When price is 100, quantity demanded is 500. When price is 200, quantity demanded is 4000 kg, and here 5000 kg. When price is 300, quantity demanded is 3000 kg. When price is 400, quantity demanded is 2000 kg. When price is 500, quantity demanded is 1000 kg. When we join all these points, that is 5000 kg, here 4000 kg, here 3000 kg, here 2000 kg and 1000 kg. When we join all these points, we get a demand curve which slopes downward from left to right, How many of you understand the concept or a slope of demand curve? Please say yes if you understand, please say no if you don't understand, please fast. Okay, so the next, supply curve. For this we take into consideration the column number first and column number third only. Okay, when price is 100, quantity supplied is 1000 kg, that is this point. When price is 100, quantity supplied is 1000 kg, that is this point. When price is 200, quantity supplied is 2000 kg, that is this point. When price is 300, quantity supplied is 3000 kg, that is equilibrium price. When price is 400, quantity supplied is 4000 kg, that is this point. When price is 500, quantity supplied is 5000 kg, that is this point. But there is one point where demand and supply intersects each other, that is demand curve sloping downward, supply curve sloping upward, intersect on one point, that is point E, that is this situation, that is DD is equal to SS. Demand curve and supply curve intersect on uniform price, that is 300, and quantity supplied and demanded is also 3000 kg. So this is the point equilibrium price, this is the equilibrium price. DD is equal to SS. So this is the equilibrium price. This is the equilibrium price where demand, how we determine the price? With the help of demand supply forces. With the help of demand supply forces. So this is the demand force, this is the supply force, this is demand curve, this is supply curve, and the forces of demand and supply which interacts at point E, that is equilibrium point, and the price is known as equilibrium price, that is 300 per kg for apples, and demand and supply are, that is 3000 per kg. Buyer and seller equates their demand and supply, or equals their demand and supply, and intersect each other at point E for rupees 300 per kg. So this is the equilibrium price. Okay, so how many of you understand the concept, or that is price determination under perfect competition? If you don't understand anything, please say humbly no. I repeat, please say humbly no. If you understand, then and then only you say yes, because all these things we already discussed in topic number 3 and 4. In topic number 3, the whole thing is regarding demand curve, and in topic number 4, the whole thing is regarding supply curve. And in this topic, we can only make intersection of both the curves. We can make intersection of both the curve and get a uniform price, that is 300 per kg. 300 per kg. Okay, fast. Those who understand, please say yes. Those who don't understand, please say no. Okay, I once repeat the graph because answer is not understanding anything. Okay, first we take into consideration only these two columns, that is demand curve. This is demand curve. When price is 100, price is 100, quantity demanded is 5000 kg. So we get this point, quantity demanded is 5000 kg. When price is 200, quantity demanded is 4000 kg. It is 200 and 400. This point here, this point 200 and 400, this point. When price is 300, quantity demanded also 300, that is this point. When quantity demanded is 400 and quantity supplied is 2000 kg, that is this point. And quantity, when price is 500, quantity demanded is 1000 kg, that is this point. When we join the point of 5000, 4000, 3000, 2000 and 1000 with their prices, okay, we get a demand curve. We get a demand curve which slopes downward from left to right, okay. Then supply curve. For to get a supply curve, we can consider only first column and third column. Okay, when price is 100, quantity supplied is 1000 kg, that is this point. 100, 1000, this point. When price is 200, quantity, sorry, when price is 100, quantity supplied is 1000, that is this point. When price is 200, quantity supplied is 2000, that is this point. When price is 300, quantity supplied is 3000, quantity supplied is 3000 kg, that is this point. When price is 400, quantity supplied is also 4000 kg, that is this point. And when price is 500, quantity supplied is highest, that is 5000 kg. When we join all these quantities 1000, 2000, 3000, 4000 and 5000, we get a supply curve that which slopes upward from left to right, and when and how we get equilibrium price, the buyer and seller for price 300, the quantity demanded, that is demand is 3000 kg, supplier, that is sale, is 3000 kg, that is this point. Okay, for 300 rupees per kg, quantity supplied and demand is 3000 kg. This is the equilibrium price where demand and supply intersects. Supply and demand, or demand and supply intersects with each other at point E for a price 300 per kg, and demand and supply equals, that is DD is equal to SS, demand and supply equals, that is 3000 per kg. Demand is also 3000 kg and supply is also 3000 kg, and the point we get E, that is equilibrium price, and this portion, that is excess supply, that is SS is greater than DD, supply is greater than demand, and this portion excess demand is greater than supply, and this portion, that is this point, equilibrium price, that is demand is equal to supply at a price 300 per kg, and demand and supply is 3000 and price is 300 per kg. Okay, still anybody have any doubt? Please say yes if you don't have any doubt. Please say no if you have doubt. Ansar.
सर आंसर ना अरबाज.
Okay, Arabaz.
हाँ सर समझ लो.
Okay, good. Okay, so for today